Hello everyone, I'm thrilled to be back, stronger and I would say more prepared for the future after a challenging year. In this video, we'll be diving deep into the key aspects of the Riot Games MMO, but don't worry, I'm keeping it exciting and engaging, setting the tone for all my future videos. You can expect my videos to be clear, concise and packed with insightful details about the hows and whys. This includes all the information we currently have, and if you just want to know about a certain topic, you can use the chapters for that. However, by doing so, you'll miss out on some useful insights I've compiled in the other chapters for your convenience. So for a comprehensive understanding, I highly recommend not skipping them. After all, I've made it easy for you. And with that said, let's kickstart this new chapter of my channel. Welcome to Dasher. The journey of Riot Games MMO development has certainly been eventful, to say the least, marked by significant team changes over the past year. The departure of Greg Street, also known as Ghostcrawler, the former executive producer, was particularly notable as he left for personal reasons. In his absence, Vijay Thakkar stepped in, proving himself to be, in my opinion, an excellent choice. For those who don't know him, he has an impressive resume with experience in MMOs, and games such as Halo and Star Wars Galaxies, as well as mobile gaming with Wild Rift. He also brings valuable management skills to the table honed at Zynga and various startups he's led. Given that he's been involved with the MMO project for around 3 years already, is a big plus because this promises a bright future for the game. All in all, I'd say this makes perfect sense. But not everything is looking great. In late 2020, or let's say early 2021, Riot Games revealed plans for this new MMORPG, stirring both excitement and skepticism among players. Many people speculate that this MMO might quickly lose traction and fail to survive beyond its first month. However, there's a counter-argument to these concerns. It's important to consider that the game is expected to be free-to-play, as announced in 2022, rather than being a buy-to-play or subscription-based game. I'll be diving deeper into this subject a bit later. This business model implies that the game's success isn't just about initial revenue. Instead, it requires creating a gaming experience that encourages players to engage with the monetization strategy over time, and I have the feeling many tend to overlook this. Evidence, for example, from SteamDB charts shows that MMO games are more popular than ever. Take New World, for example, a buy-to-play game which is the 7th most popular game on SteamDB of all time, and Lost Ark is even higher, sitting in 3rd place. It's very clear people are loving MMOs, and it shows that MMOs have a huge potential. However, a lot of people haven't found their perfect MMO yet, because after some time, these games tend to become the same as the last one. Even though they try to bring something different to the table, they often end up copying World of Warcraft too much in their bid to be successful. While I would say it's okay to not reinvent the wheel with every game, innovation is still crucial. And I would say that's where Riot excels. This quote was allegedly made by the president of games, Mark Merrill, at Riot Games, and has sparked quite a bit of conversation. However, I feel it's been misunderstood and painted in an overly negative light. It's important to remember that the game is still in its early stages, with many unknown elements yet to be explored. That's probably what the quote was referring to, not a prediction of failure. Game development, particularly in the MMO genre, is an enormous task. So even if the president of games did make this statement, it's likely in the context of business risks and opportunities rather than a cause for alarm. Instead, it signifies that the game has numerous possibilities yet to be explored. And yes, I found a couple of interviews that back up this claim.
heard a lot about MMORPG for Riot. Can you please share us a little bit update?
I can share a couple of things to you.
Okay.
One, not a ton. Don't get
Is
too
that
excited.
world premiere?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, you tell me. But what I can share with you is we're committed to the genre. We're committed. So I think, and I just literally tell this to, I speak in front of the company every couple of weeks. I speak to the World Company this morning, and I told them, this is a genre that is so dear to a lot of gamers.
Yeah.
Riot, we've got to either have something or try. And so I think for the rest of Riot's life, we're either going to have an MMO in the market or we're going to try to make one, no matter what.
Okay.
Now, which one and how and when, that's a different question, and
Okay.
it's difficult. And when we develop games, we always try, and things work, then things don't work, and we pivot, and we cancel, and we reboot. Like, that happens a ton. But we're highly committed.
It's so good. Last question that I think we can talk about is how did this project start? Because usually at Riot, all the big things start as passion projects. Be it Game Modes on League, EFT, really Legends of Runeterra. Well, it's all like passion projects. How did the MMO project start?
I think the fairest way to say it is that massive parts of this company have been dreaming of making this game for our players for a long time. Obviously, Meryl trolled the world by asking whether an MMO should exist. The reason I came to Riot 7 years ago was to make an MMO. I would say different versions of this space, what we've been thinking about and moving it forward, have existed in all of our hearts for a very long time. And eventually, I know. And honestly, eventually we just all started to get a bunch of those people together. We're like, now is the time. We've got to make that investment.
You've just watched interviews with two key players in the Riot Games world. First up was Nicolo Laurent, the former CEO who stepped down for family reasons. Following him was Vijay Thakkar as the new executive producer for the MMO, like I said earlier. Analyzing these two interviews closely reveals that Riot Games has been working on this project longer than we initially thought. They announced the project in 2020, yet it's clear that they wouldn't have done that unless they were entirely confident in its potential. This confidence likely stems from the substantial pre-production work that had already been undertaken, particularly by the research and development team. I'm not saying they figured everything out, far from it, but pre-production is a crucial step for the MMO. Remember when I mentioned that many MMOs end up emulating World of Warcraft? This is why Riot Games' research and development team could be vital for the MMO, because these teams play a key role in testing various iterations throughout the game's development cycle. They are usually established based on the business' perceived needs. For instance, in EA Sports games, a group was needed to improve athlete likeness scanning using photogrammetry. Since there were no commercial products available for that, a team was needed to create several portable scanning rigs. By the way, why not join the Discord? We have fun chats about all those things, especially the MMO and beyond. You can find the link in the description. Looking forward to seeing you there. And yes, the same principle applies to Riot's MMO. As no game has successfully become the next big MMO for the 2020s and 2030s. It's crucial to have a dedicated team researching new mechanics and deciding which ones to incorporate into the game, and that's exactly what Riot is doing.
I prefer not playing Ultimate Team because
Okay.
I think it's
pay to win
Yeah.
mode.
it's really bad. But I switched to Ultimate Team for a few years. I just don't like the pay to win. So
Yeah.
mostly play with my friends,
FIFA Ultimate Team is a heavy
Yes.
pay to win
Yes.
mode. How do you see the game with the trade-off in-game? Like Ultimate Team.
Yes.
What's your opinion of trade in-game?
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I like the concept of building your team and trading players. That is good.
Yep.
I don't like the pay to win.
You don't like the part that you need to buy FIFA points
Yeah.
to get the
And look-
player you like.
And look, I have a lot of money, so
Yeah,
I can.
I know.
But I don't want to win because I have money. I want to win because of my skill.
Okay, I know. That's what League of Legends are talking
Yes,
about.
yes.
You need to always win the game with
Yes.
your skill rate, but
Yes.
not how much you pay.
Yes.
Exactly, this is a statement that most of us wanted to hear. Even though some might disagree with it, let's take a closer look. I firmly believe in the value of critical thinking. but it's also crucial to have faith sometimes. No matter what your favorite game is, be it League, Valorant, a series like Arcane, or any other of Riot's creations, you can't deny the high quality they consistently deliver in comparison to most other companies. And like I said, there are contrasting views about games monetization. Some people dream of a pay-once MMORPG model with no microtransactions, where you just buy the game and enjoy unlimited access until the server would shut down. However, this quote-unquote perfect model would require a selfless company willing to run the game 24/7 without any revenue to cover operating costs, and therefore would only support a basic product without the needed reinvestment for a great MMORPG. Others, on the other hand, believe a subscription model could solve these problems. But it's important to note that this method might appear restrictive to players of the quote-unquote, I would say, new generation, because regular payments could make them feel trapped and hinder their opportunity to try out other games. So why does Riot's game development strategy succeed in the long term? The games are open to all, including those who can't afford to spend money. While they need to be cautious about this approach, it could yield higher returns. Imagine if you started playing and fell in love with the game. You might just decide to spend a modest 10 or 20 euro or dollar a year in the in-game shop instead of not playing at all. So the debate around the game's money-making strategy is, yes, the most controversial aspect. Riot Games knows they have a tricky job of finding the perfect balance, and I'm certain that they realize that before they can think about making money. The game needs to be strong and stable. This is a fact. A lot of games have failed in the past because they focused too much on the in-game store instead of improving the game itself. And I would say Riot understands that while making money is important, it shouldn't come at the cost of building a solid game foundation, because without that, long-term profitability is almost highly unlikely.
Why does Riot lead esports market? How do you do that?
First and foremost, like you cannot buy your way into esports. It has to come from the players first.
Okay.
So we didn't start esports right away. We try to develop the good game,
Yep.
and that's what you need. A lot of companies, they try to do big esports for the launch of their game, but the game, is not sticky. No, you want the game to be successful. You want to invest for a long time in the games. And then, if players want esports, then yes, we are here. That's the same as
Okay.
Valorant. We launched Valorant, and after 2 or 3 years, people are like, we want esports. Like, okay, we're here. Maybe the second thing is, we go all in. When we started esports, you may remember, people were making fun of Riot Games.
Yep.
The traditional sports, they were making fun of us. The sponsors, they were making fun of us.
Yep.
You know who was not making fun of us? The players.
Yeah.
So we listen to the players and we give them we raise the bar, trying to get the professionalism, the maturity that you get in traditional sports into esports. That's been the focus for the last 10 years now,
Yeah.
12 years.
While it's natural for veteran players to have varying views, it's important to remember why they have stuck around for so long. Riot's focus on building a strong foundation has kept them playing despite what some critics might say. If a game is labeled as quote-unquote bad, after a player has sunk thousands of hours into it, it only highlights Riot's successful strategy. The truth is, a top-tier product like Riot's games wouldn't stay at the forefront of esports and continue to pull in impressive player counts without delivering consistent quality. If they didn't, we would see a sharp decline in their player base, much like other games that couldn't keep their promises. And speaking of promises,
Okay, it's been a little while since we spoke about League's lore. For a long time, League and associated experiences like short stories were our only way to tell stories in Runeterra. Nowadays, though, that's no longer the case.
Over the years, we've introduced inconsistencies that have woven their way into the storytelling and the world building of Runeterra. Going forward, we don't believe that's the right approach, because that kind of fragmentation makes the world feel less believable, and it just undercuts meaningful character development. And frankly, it makes it hard for all of you to feel like you can really invest deeply in a story, knowing it might not be honored in future storytelling. So going forward, from today, all new storytelling is going to be part of one shared canon, rather than a jumble of different experiences that are similar but inconsistent. And our goal is to ensure that major events in our stories, as well as the essence of what makes a champion who they are, will be reflected across everything that Riot makes. Every time we touch a part of the League universe, we're going to take a beat to ask ourselves where the inconsistent threads are and work towards weaving them together so the world makes sense. And we believe the payoff for getting this right will be absolutely worth it.
As you can see, Laura de Jong openly admits that past inconsistencies in the game's lore set in the universe of Runeterra made it less immersive and impacted character growth. I truly believe that the best aspect is that they're now moving towards a unified storyline, ensuring that every character and significant event is consistently portrayed across all of Riot's games. With her acknowledgement that past inconsistencies in Runeterra's lore made the game less captivating and stunted character development, I'm very much looking forward to what they'll be doing for the MMORPG. Because now that they streamline the story across all games, ensuring every character and key event aligns perfectly, is, yes, a significant step towards creating a cohesive universe. In conclusion, practically everything, with a few minor exceptions of course, everything in Legends of Runeterra is now officially part of the lore across all universes. It's said to be the cornerstone of the narrative for all future games. This is what I was implying before. We've got a lot of pointers indicating this. Many developers have joined Riot to work on an MMO, the former CEO has expressed his distaste for pay-to-win mechanics, and the commitment to build a game with a solid foundation first and foremost, coupled with the information that an effort is underway to unify the lore, all these bits now carry much more significance. This is also precisely why Legends of Runeterra holds such an importance to Riot Games. Despite not being the top revenue generator, it stands as their most crucial game. It serves the dual purpose of narrating the story and experimenting with new ideas. This game is, like I said, the cornerstone, setting the stage for all their future ideas. So, really, not gonna lie, this makes me extremely excited. Because by keeping Legends of Runeterra active, Riot adds depth and vibrancy to the universe. This game also aids Riot in broadening its product range, despite not being the top earner. The strategic importance of that game to Riot cannot be understated. Think about it, every aspect of Legends of Runeterra is set to gradually transition into the MMO, serving as a sort of lore blueprint. It's not a question of if, but when a character will be introduced. For instance, the question isn't will Kindred be part of the game, but rather what part will the Grim Reaper play in the MMO. So instead of guessing about every possible outcome, let's concentrate on how these characters, locations, dungeons and raids will fit into the game. This perspective unlocks a crazy array of possibilities, because these possibilities open up a whole new world. That also means somehow that all my upcoming lore videos could and potentially will be much more accurate than I initially expected, which makes me much more excited to dive even deeper into the lore of the world. And with that, a huge thank you to everyone. Despite the challenges I faced this year, your continued support and loyalty have been incredibly uplifting, I have to say. Your responses and interactions both on Discord and occasionally here on YouTube mean the world to me. So here's to you for sticking around, for engaging, and for making this journey worthwhile. I sincerely appreciate it. Can't wait to catch you in the next one. Peace.